Hello, this is Paul, and this is the second part of our second unit. So, in the first one, we were talking about the basics of what is data, and data is computer being able to use files with an operating system, which leads into an operating environment, and out of this environment, we're able to run programs. With that, we are able to make our own applications. An application could be a letter or some kind of account, or even developing a book. And as we are into spreadsheets now, we are talking about organized data. Now, one thing we need to see is that I left off with the idea how files are stored on the computer with a series of extensions. Usually this is 3 letters, but recently it's become 4 letters. So 3 or 4 letter extension will identify what program a application file will identify with the proper program. Let me explain this. When we go into a directory, we are looking at a number of items that are stored on your computer. I'm looking at a directory here that has been designed for OpenOffice, and specifically where I was teaching the Writer program, and we have a couple things in there that is stored for retrieval as needed. I have an OpenOffice text document. I also have a Microsoft Office PowerPoint presentation and an Open Document presentation. And that way we are using actually 3 different programs, but they are all integrated. What do I mean by integrated? Well, if you have OpenOffice on your computer, which I assume you do, it will open both files created in OpenOffice as well as Microsoft Office applications. They work together because of a technology called .NET, and this means that it shares pretty much the same technology of how programs are put together and how they work. For this reason, both programs will open the same files, and they will be able to store files in the opposite format with no problem. So with that, we go to our next slide, and take notice when we look into a directory. Now I have a display here that is typical of XP. Windows XP has a panel going down here for different operations, but notice in the lower right corner it tells us that we have 24 objects. Now, take in mind these 24 objects do fit on my screen, but if it doesn't fit on your screen, and there would be more objects in that directory, it could be any total number of files being stored there. There will be a scroll bar going down the side over here on the left side to be able to view them all. Okay, there's a couple ways of getting around it, and it is included in our basic teachings with the operating system of Windows XP. So with that in mind, we're going to look at a file that I have here called badweather.odt. It has an extension of ODT because it was developed with OpenOffice and its presentation manager to be able to make a nice layout very easily and be able to print it and have a sign to put up in the room that when we were going to be closed due to bad weather, how we would be able to identify those days. Now, take notice also on the bottom of the line when I highlighted that it shows what type of document it is. For example, it's an open document. Text title, Bad Weather, ODT, and it has me as my as the author and when it was created in 2010. It also includes the time it was done and the size. Now the size is cut off on that bar, but it's replaced with with its own portion of the bar to show exactly what size it is. For example, it is 119 kilobytes, and that is how many hundreds of kilobytes, bytes it is. So we have a kilobyte that 1 kilobyte equals 100. So then we have 109. Well, 11,900 bytes on that file, okay, to break it down. Now what we have here, we realize that when we see the file that we want, the computer is able to identify that file with the proper programs it will open because of that extension. Take notice it can be changed. You can change the name, but please, when you change the name, by clicking on the name itself, a single click will enable you to be able to change the name for what you want it to be. And when you do this, be sure to keep the .odt file intact. If you change it, it'll lose its link. So then you'll have a problem opening. More on this in a bit. Thank you for your attention. This is Paul. I do teach these lessons over at the First Church of the Brethren on a Saturday morning, a Saturday afternoon that is, at 1:30. So when you're ready, you can go to the next section.